The story I'm gonna tell you, you're not gonna believe. But every word of it's true, I know, because it happened to me. But enough about me, we don't have time for that. And by we, I mean me, Dick Piston, hotel detective. It was a Friday night in the big city, and on a Friday night you'll find me making my rounds at the Lakeview Hotel, a two-bit armpit on the upside of downtown. It had the highest mortality rates of any luxury accommodations west of Baghdad, or east of Baghdad, or in Baghdad. 10 minutes to midnight, and I had my proverbial eyes fixed on the literal clock, because when that clock strikes 12, my Friday night nightmares become somebody else's Saturday morning problems. So, if my luck holds true...
Dick Piston, I need your help!
Lady Luck, you could set a watch by her. I'm afraid I'm not the man you're looking for.
You're not Dick Piston?
No, I'm not helpful.
But you are the hotel detective.
For 9 more minutes I am.
Mr. Piston, please, I'm the victim of a crime. You can't just turn your back on me!
Well, not in that outfit, no.
Then you'll help me?
For 8 more minutes I will, but that's all the time we've got.
Will that be enough?
Depends on the crime. What's yours?
I think they call it Moira.
I see. And you said you're the victim of this crime?
Oh, yes, it happened just a moment ago up in my hotel room.
You know what murder is, right?
Yes, it's the one where somebody kills someone, right?
That's the one! All right, I'm gonna take your case, but I'm also going to set this timer. When this goes off, no matter what, case dismissed. Is that understood?
Oh, Mr. Piston, I can't tell you how grateful I am for this.
If you'll take your seat, I have to make a phone call.
But aren't you going to rush up to the room and examine the scene of the crime?
Ordinarily I would, but we don't have that kind of time.
Oh.
Hello, front desk. It's me, Dick Piston, hotel detective. Put me through to the kitchen.
What are you doing?
Ordering room service.
Will that speed up the investigation?
Not at all.
And why are you doing it?
Because no man in his right mind would ever be alone in a room with a woman in a towel without at least a bottle of champagne and a half-order of oysters on the way. I'll have the honeymoon special. Send it to my office pronto. And a box of condoms. What makes you think you were murdered?
Oh, I wasn't moited.
But you said you were.
I said I was a victim of a crime.
And that crime is murder.
Oh, well done, Mr. Piston. With your keen eye for detail, we'll have this case sewed up in no time.
If the crime is murder and you're the victim, why are you here?
Well, I had to report it, didn't I? He was my husband, after all.
The killer?
No, the killer Reed.
The murder victim was your husband.
Oh, yes, it happened in my room. He was shot in the head on the bed.
So, you're the victim by marriage.
And this was supposed to be our honeymoon.
I see. And is that how you were dressed when you discovered the body?
Oh, yes. I had just stepped into the shower where I was nude, Mr. Piston. Can you imagine? When I heard what sounded like gunshots and a blood-curdling scream. So naturally, I finished my shower, put on some makeup, and raced into the bedroom right away to see what was the matter. And that's where I found him, dead in the bed with a slug in his head.
Were there any signs of forced entry?
Well, he'd been dropping hints all weekend, so I was hoping this was our honeymoon after all.
No, I mean to the room.
Oh. No, everything seemed perfectly normal except for that horrible dead guy lying over there.
You mean your husband?
Yes, that was his name. Guy.
Uh-huh. And he was horrible?
Oh, yes, brains everywhere.
Well, Mrs. Guy,
Yes?
normally this is the point of the investigation where I would rush up to your hotel room and examine the body.
Yes.
But we don't have that kind of time. So if we can just cut to the proverbial chase.
Room service.
There's your killer!
Oh! Oh, my! But how can you possibly know that?
Was your husband clinically insane?
No, not clinically.
That's how I know.
I don't understand.
And there's no time to explain. No, wait. There's 4 minutes.
Oh.
Allow me to explain. If there were no signs of forced entry, then your husband must have let the killer into the room himself. That means the killer must have been someone your husband knew personally or expected shortly. A bellhop, for example.
But why would my husband be expecting a bellhop?
Because your husband is not clinically insane.
Oh.
And since no man in his right mind would ever be alone in a room with a woman in a towel without at least a bottle of champagne and a half-order of oysters on the way, and your husband knew you were about to enter the room, we know he must have ordered something from room service.
It makes perfect sense.
And as you have just seen, the service in this hotel is incredibly prompt.
Yes, I'm impressed. We ought to make sure and leave him a big tip.
Your husband must have been murdered by the night shift bellhop, who gained access to the room under the pretense of delivering a romantic appetizer.
But why would this bellhop want to moita my husband?
Because, unbeknownst to your husband, this bellhop was having an extramarital affair with his wife.
You're married?
No, you! He was having an affair with you.
What? How can you possibly know that?
Because you still haven't asked me the one question that any widow in her right mind would want to know the answer to in this situation. Why would this bellhop want to kill your husband?
But I did ask.
You did. When?
Just now, just a second ago. I said it right away. It was practically the first thing that popped into my mind.
Right. But never mind.
Mr. Piston, you have not been listening to a word I've said, have you?
For God's sake, you're in a towel!
That is no reason to accuse me of being an adulteress, and worse yet, an accomplice to Moira!
All right. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Accepted. Shame about the bellwether.
Yeah. Listen. My boss will have my proverbial head if she finds out I shot another innocent bystander. Do you think we could just agree that this was self-inflicted?
Oh, yes, of course. He was suicidal the moment he walked in here. How can I possibly thank you?
Well, we've got champagne and oysters, and I'm off in 2 minutes.
Oh, Mr. Piston, I think we can get you off before that.
Well, I didn't see that coming.
Neither did I.
You're alive, but that's impossible.
Actually, no, you're a terrible shot, Piston.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Don't be. You were right, Piston. Until recently, this lady and I were having a torrid affair behind her husband's back and behind his dead body.
You?
At least I thought we were. I thought we were in love. But now I can tell that she was just using me to get what she wanted.
A dead husband and a perfect alibi. But what makes you think she was using you?
What woman in her right mind would leave her husband for another man, only to fall into the arms of a third man, a third-rate hotel detective, over the lifeless corpse of her dead lover, the second man? Unless, of course, she was only using him to get what she wanted, to get rid of her wealthy husband, who she also didn't care about, and she probably didn't care about the detective either.
But if you'd waited just a couple minutes, she might have cared a little bit.
Forget it, Piston. She used us. We're all victims here.
Well, actually, not me.
No, I suppose not. But if you've got a minute, I think I can correct that oversight.
Well, look at the time.
Your time is up, Dick Piston, hotel detective.
But why would you want to kill me? I've never done anything to you, besides shooting you a minute ago.
I think you're forgetting the possibility that I am not in my right mind.
No, I took that into account when you murdered 2 people at your place of work.
What was that?
Your luck running out.
No, I think it was that egg timer.
Case dismissed.